is your demands of government that creates government spending. And this is part of the discussion we're supposed to have here tonight is, we want to reduce the deficits and the debt. What are you willing to give up? I have not heard anybody say they're willing to give up anything yet.
Okay. It's a good challenge. Yes, sir. In the back? If you're willing to come on up to the microphone, I think everybody would appreciate that. But
how much money can we get from California?
who wants to start debating on California? It's easy to do when you're in Minnesota, isn't it? Anybody here from California? I think we're good to go. All right. Keep talking to me. Come on up, sir.
I was just looking at a news story online, and I think it's around about 50% of our income tax money is being used on the military-industrial complex. That seems to me, war is a great user of our money.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
That is a frequent question that comes up. We're going to go to the end of our slide set here and ask the question, what is the cost of defense as a percentage of our GDP? Just keep rolling as quick as we can right through the end. Can we go faster? That's as fast as the computer will go on. There we go. Go ahead, Don.
Just a comment on trade deficit. We all will go out to our cars tonight and start them and drive home, and probably somewhere approaching 100% of that petroleum that we use in our cars was brought in from Canada in this part of the country. And so not every dollar we spend on petroleum, obviously we pay the gas station and so forth, but for the raw petroleum that we're using in our cars, it's almost 100% here. It's from Canada. And of course, nationwide, it's somewhere over 50% is coming from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela and Canada and Mexico and Nigeria and so on.
Okay, good point. There is a slide up here addressing, thanks for buying me some time, Don, defense discretionary spending as a percentage of GDP. You can see the Cold War was pretty rough on us. But that actually is in line as a percentage of GDP. Now the numbers are high when we think of spending $500, $600, $700 billion a year on our military and our defense, but as a percentage of our economy, it actually is in line, if I could say it that way. Other comments? Yes, sir.
Yeah, when I look at your chart here with the federal deficit, and we look at the Great Depression, and at that time, the government instituted all these plans of WPA and CCC and all these other programs to try and stimulate the economy. And as we know, that didn't get the country out of the Depression. The war got us out of the Depression. That stimulated the economy. Now we're seeing in the last year, the current government has fallen back on the same old solution that failed in the Depression, putting forth a huge stimulus bill that they think is going to get the economy rolling again. And thus far, it hasn't worked, and things I've seen lately is a lot of that money hasn't even been spent. So it hasn't been spent, why don't we get it back so we can reduce that deficit? Now, with the current people that are in Congress, with the bills that we're seeing, which is going to only add to the deficit, what's our solution? Another war? I hope not, but I don't see our current government getting anything that is going to solve this problem.
Steve, got a fair challenge there. All right. Quick comment, Bill.
I was watching C-SPAN the other night, and in line with what somebody brought up back there, what are we going to do about this? Some of the people, particularly Conrad, Senator Conrad, who was on the budget committee, stood up and said, we cannot solve this problem with the normal order in which the government does business, because we don't have the, I'm paraphrasing, but we don't have the courage to go to our constituents and say, we're going to take something away from you, or we're going to raise your taxes. So he's saying we got to form a commission, like they do to close up the surplus military facilities. And this commission, whoever they are, will come back and say, we're going to do this and this and this, up and down vote, no amendments. You either do it or you don't do it, to give the politicians that we elect, to give the politicians cover. So they can come back and say, we didn't do it. They did it. The commission did it. It's not my fault. Vote for me. Or as Steve said, imagine he's running for office and he stands up and says, okay folks, I'm going to cut all the money that you've been getting. We're going to cut that. I'm going to increase your taxes. Vote for me. What do you think? So the root cause is not them. We are not, as a country, capable of putting people up into office who are willing to not hide behind a tree and are willing to put their next election on the line to say, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. What would I give up, you ask? Well, they talk about the unfunded mandate of Social Security. I don't think it's an unfunded mandate. It's fully funded by your payroll taxes. The problem is, in the year 20-something, they will have cashed in all their bonds. They will only have enough money to pay about 79% of what I've been getting. So if they don't change the law, assuming I'm still alive then, which I probably won't be, my income would get cut from 100% to 79%. Am I willing to live with that? Frankly, I wouldn't have any choice, because that's when the law runs out. Now, would the government have enough courage to let that law continue and cut all the old voters' pensions down from 100% to 79%? That's the question. Where do we as a country get the courage to stand up and take some pain?
That brings up a lot of, on that commission, watch that in the next couple of weeks. There's going to be some drama unfolding, because what they proposed on November 10th to the Senate Budget Committee is that they are not going to advocate for a statutory debt limit, which is going to happen here in the next week or two to continue to run our government. That they may try and block that in order to force a commission to be put in place so that we can get something in place to manage the debt long term. So we would support, I think Bill and I would support a commission if that's what it takes in order to be able to get some kind of a debt limit on our national debt. And they're willing to dramatize that to the point of saying, we're not going to allow the government to even fund beyond the end of the year until we get that commission in place. So watch that drama unfold. That's going to be very, very interesting. Let's get somebody from the front of the room here, because we've had, okay. All right, make it quick. I'm going to stop commenting and start just rolling, okay?
Okay, I thought when I seen these slides, the solution that I thought was going to happen, and I'm fairly sure is going to happen, they alluded to it every once in a while. You notice as they were going through this presentation, every once in a while, you seen the printing presses going boop, 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 boop. I'll tell you right now, if you want to solve that debt, you only got to print $12 trillion and pay the Chinese off. And we're out of debt. And you know where that money's going to come from? I mean, obviously they're printing it is where it's coming from. But who's going to pay? If you got $500,000 in your retirement fund, its buying power will be cut in half. No matter what kind of savings you got, with 100% inflation, your buying power will be cut in half. And so all of the people who have saved and been intelligent all their lives are going to pay the national debt. And that